So hi, my name is Ruth Steverlink. I'm joined here today by Dr. Kellen Gersick. Dr. Gersick is a leader in the field of family enterprise advising. He's the co-founder and senior partner of Landsberg Gersick, which is one of the most prestigious family business consulting firms globally. And through his work, Dr. Gersick has impacted literally thousands of families across the world. And so we're deeply honored to have this time with him today. Kellen, how are you? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, Ruth.
So I think, Kellen, one of the questions that we want to ask you is, in all the work that you've done with families, how can advisors help founders and families create the conditions for the best chance of a successful continuity of their enterprise that they've spent their life creating?
Well, an enlightened and talented advisor is a tremendous resource across the different disciplines for family enterprise. And those leaders who are lucky enough to have developed over years relationships with their legal, their financial, their investment advisors over time are in fact a step ahead in terms of getting the work done. They recognize that that kind of professional assistance is essential to the kind of continuity planning that they hope for. In the work that we've been doing recently with advisors here, primarily financial advisors, I've been focusing on two things that helps them expand their concepts of their role in relation to the families and therefore their ability to be helpful to the families. The first one is helping the families understand the basic nature of family enterprise. And we talk about the classic three-circle model. That is that these enterprises actually are complex systems that have within them different groups. And the three primary groups are the group of owners, the ones who are in fact the holders of the asset, the partners or the shareholders, the group who are in the business, the operating system, the managers and employees of the business or the foundation or whatever the operating entity is, and the family itself, who are the relatives, the parents and children and uncles and aunts and cousins and grandparents and so on, who are connected by birth or marriage or adoption or that are relatives. So it's the investors and the employees and the relatives, and that they look at the world in different ways. And that one thing that advisors can do is to help the leaders of the family system, wherever they are, understand that the way to untangle some of the most complicated dilemmas they have, the things that keep them up at night, is to figure out where does this dilemma lie? Is it a family issue? Is it an issue of our equity, of capital, of financial, of ownership? Or is it an issue of operations, of the running of the business, its management, its strategy, its marketing, its future? And then to address the solution to that circle. Because an advisor can help a family see that you can't solve family problems, usually, with business solutions. You don't solve issues of family equity and equality or family dynamics or relationships by mandating certain roles or jobs or careers in the company and having the company need to absorb the family dilemma. That's not good for the company and it's not good for the family. You want to treat the company with the respect that a business deserves, and the family with the caring and the intuition that relationships, loving relationships deserve. Same with ownership. So helping the leaders understand they're wearing many hats. The understanding that if you want to be simultaneously a good parent and a good CEO and a good shareholder, a good owner, you have to sort out how to resolve each of those sets of demands separately and attend to the problems appropriately. So that's one of the things advisors can help complexify, actually, the client's thoughts. The other is, and maybe even more basic than that, is to help families focus their attention not always on the tasks and the how, but sometimes on the goals and the why. What is our long-term agenda here? What is our dream? And is there a common dream that links together all the stakeholders with enough common ground to sustain an enterprise going forward in the future? And this is a step that only, I think, the more talented and enlightened advisors move to. It's that threshold from being a technical expert to being a most trusted advisor. Is the willingness, the confidence to ask questions that the family may not be asking, and to help focus the family's attention. What is our dream? if we roll this tape forward 20 years, and if things go the way we hope they go, the best possible, what will it look like? What will our family be doing? What will our family look like? What will our enterprise look like? Who will be doing what? What will we have accomplished? How will we be living the lives that we hope for our children and our grandchildren? What is this dream? And advisors who can find ways to ask that question and to get families to focus on that level of thought are doing their families a terrific service. And making the other more mechanical decisions of who should be on this board, and should this person get a promotion, or should this person go back and get an MBA, or how do we structure this foundation? What kind of a trust? Who should be the trustees? Those specific tasks, which are very present and very pressing, are made so much more, so much easier if they are in the context of an agreement on ultimately what we're trying to accomplish here, where we're going.
So, Kellen, you've worked with hundreds of founders, not only in the West but in the East, across the world. Are there sort of similarities in the dreams that the founders that you work with have? Have you found that there's sort of a common theme in these dreams?
Well, there is, I think, a kind of an infinite variety of individual dreams, and then when you look for a common dream, when you have conversations among stakeholders where they're looking for the common ground, it gets more and more complicated. But I think when you're thinking about founders, about enterprise developers and entrepreneurs, generally as they move through their lives and through their careers, their dreams tend to be, there are three sort of classic categories of the dreams that they come to. The first one is a dream of business continuity. I have built this company, and it's a great company, and it's successful, and it competes well, and I want it to continue, and to continue to grow and to thrive, and to support this family and its stakeholders for my children's generation and their children in going forward. I believe in this company, and in some cases I've spent most of my time and effort over my career building it, and I want it to continue.
Right.
Then the second group, that's not their dream. They don't particularly have a dream of this particular company. They think companies come and go. Industries change. It gets to be the moment you get an offer you can't refuse. So for them, it's not about the company. It's about the family's collective asset, the investment, the corpus that's been developed. And for them, they are interested in the family keeping their resources together and using the economies of scale that come from that, and the collaboration of everybody being in it together to allocate that asset in the most effective way possible. So for them, it's this enterprise, this collective enterprise that they care about continuing. That's their dream. When they think of the future, they think of everybody being connected and supported by this growing entity. And then a third group don't care about either the individual company or this corporate. What they care about is the appropriate and honorable utilization of the wealth they have created. They think, look, I would be lucky or successful or smart or whatever. We have created these resources. My dream is that my children and their children and everyone who's dependent on have the opportunity to use those as a launching pad for their lives as they define it individually, and do what they want and become entrepreneurs or become poets or become professors or whatever it turns out to be, that this gives this resource, this wealth, gives them the opportunity to live those lives that are their individual dreams. Right. If they want to do things together, like philanthropy is often a very important part of that dream, that's fine. But it's about being a platform and enabler of individual dreams. Right. So if you have those three dreams, the work of moving toward those dreams that financial advisors can help with is quite different. If the dream is business succession and continuity, then the task is succession. You need successor leaders. You need people who have been developed to take over and to run things well and are prepared and skilled and have the support of the system around them to continue that business. And it's worth investing in that. If it's the second dream, which is about the enterprise, the equity, the capital, collectively managed, then the task is governance. How do you develop the skills, first of all, in enough of the next generation to do asset allocation, to think about preserving wealth, to manage money managers who are managing portfolios, to think about foundations, to do it together, to have the group process where people can work together as a team and make those decisions on behalf of the whole family. Like, governance is a very different process than management. And if it's the third dream, then it's all about estate planning and individual skill development and finding the right advisors and the kind of coaching and mentoring that helps people develop their own passion and their own ability to live those lives. And that's a different set of tasks. So the dream leads to the work.
Right. Now, we're talking about dreams, but what about fears? I mean, what have you found these founders are worrying about? Like, what are they concerned about?
Well, family life includes lots of things to worry about.
Right.
And every family, no matter where they are, includes things to worry about. These families of wealth, these families that have successful enterprises, have a set of things that are relatively special to them. And these are remarkably true across cultures and around the world. Parents in these families worry about making sure that what they have created, that being this special wealthy family, is a positive for their children and not a negative.
Right.
And they worry about how do we not create a sense of entitlement? How do we not kill motivation? How do we create the environment and the opportunities and the expectations so that our kids take seriously the concept of meaningful work, that they are willing to do the work of the sort of the climbing the ladder work, the paying their dues, that financially they don't have to do because their lifestyles are secured anyway, but that they understand the need to develop themselves, not just to live their lives, and how will they learn the lessons that we learned because we had to, because we started with nothing or less, but they need to learn because they want to, or because it's structured to do that. So they worry about that. They worry about being fair. They worry about, does fair mean equal? How do I deal with different kids in different ways? And they worry about making sure that they're protecting their children enough, but not too much. Those are the parental worries of parental work. The kids have their own worries.
Right.
And what is really true is that while people may think that these kids' worries is why can't I have more, and when do I get it? What they really worry more about than anything else is they don't want to disappoint their parents.
Right.
They don't want to be overwhelmed by this opportunity. And they want to be up to the task of figuring it out and being good successors. And they worry there's been more of a phenomenon in the last decade in particular of people talking so much about finding your passion and being intensively invested in becoming who you are and doing your work and your life's work and so forth. For these next generation members of more wealthy families, for whom, as I said, their lifestyle is not at risk. They will have what they need for themselves and their children forever. They think that somehow that puts extra pressure on them to find meaning, to be passionate about what they do. But in fact, most adolescents, most 20-somethings, they don't know their passion yet. They don't have enough life experience to know what their life's work is about. A very high percentage of the most satisfied people in their 40s and 50s didn't in fact find their work until their mid-30s. They didn't even know their work existed in some cases until the mid-30s. They tried a lot of different things. They were sequentially invested in some things as opportunities to learn about the real world. And to take the pressure of prematurely having a passion, being committed off these kids is a help to them. That it's okay to experiment. It's okay to try out different things. Your passion will come.
So how do we help families? So it sounds like a lot. They've got to figure out their dreams. They've got to get a shared dream across the family. You've got the fears of the founding generation, the fears of the children. What are some of the key things that you've seen if families pay critical attention to really helps?
It all comes down to one thing pretty much: talk.
Right.
They need to, in fact, talk to each other. And any way that advisors can help create and stimulate and facilitate conversation that is the single thing that works the best. For families to avoid conversations about wealth, wealth as a platform, wealth is a characteristic. This is who we are. And it starts from when the 8-year-old says, Mommy and Daddy, are we rich?
Right.
And you need an answer for that question. My girlfriend says we're rich. Are we rich? You need an answer for that question. And neither no nor yes is necessarily the right answer. The right answer is, well, let's talk about what that means. Yes, this is who we are. We do have these things. This is part of who we are. But it also means that there's certain things we do that we can do and that we do because of that. That's the way we live. That's why Mommy and Daddy do this. That's why we, on this weekend, do that. That's why we collect these things, to whatever it turns out to be. That there is a sense of communication from a very young age about who we are as a family and what that means, and not a fear of it or an avoidance of it. In general, if you ask me what are the couple of things that I would say are the most general things that I've learned about this, one of them would be that transparency is better than secrecy. That in general, if parents are worried about their kids knowing too much, too soon, that it will have a negative impact on motivation or their lifestyle or whatever. There are cases like that. Of course, there are kids who use the wealth of the family as an escape from thinking seriously about their lives, or doing conscientious development of themselves as individuals. But for every one of those, there are many more who, in fact, if the dialogue is there, will make use of, are hungry for the reality of the truth from their parents. And what's the point of parents, in fact, being secretive and saying, you'll find out later, or when I'm gone, or whatever? What is the point of that strategy? Their offspring are going to create explanations anyway. If their explanations are accurate, you've gained nothing by not being the source of data for them so they can ask questions. If the fantasies they come to are in fact fantasies and are inaccurate, then they're going to be making judgments and decisions and lifestyle choices based on false information, and you've lost there. So either way, it's better that parents are as transparent as they possibly can feel comfortable being and talk to their children. This is who we are. This is what we have. This is what our business is about.
This is the dream.
What my life's work is going to be. This is my dream.
Yeah.
This is who I am, and so forth. Who are you? And then, of course, for parents, it's one thing to ask the question. It's another to actually listen to the answer, and to put yourself in the place of of hearing what your children are saying to you, and not rejecting it, and not dismissing it, and not critiquing it, but actually trying to understand it. That is that gets you a lot of mileage with families if you not just ask questions, but listen to the answers. So transparency is also important. It's very important. The second thing I would say is collaboration. I use that word a lot. And it's more than just communication. It's about actually building to a solution that is better than any of the stakeholders would have come to individually. It's the exercise of authority by being an orchestra leader, by facilitating contributions from many, instead of by imposing your will because you have a right to impose your will on the system.
So planning with the family rather than for the
bottom
family.
Line, the quote I use a lot, that it's that if the viability of a solution is enhanced greatly in a family by coming to it with your children, not for your children. Even if you have the best intentions and you really are thinking about what's, in your view, in their best interest, and trying to be fair and creative and all those things for them, on their behalf, to get your ducks in a row and to save them the potential for conflict or competition or whatever by taking care of it. In fact, that doesn't work as well as a true collaborative process where you say, this is a family dilemma. This is a family challenge, this continuity. Let's think about it together. What's your dream? How do you see yourself developing? How can this family be the place where you can be yourself and a contributor to the general part of it? Collaboration is better than an autocratic decision making, and transparency is better than secrecy.
And I would imagine that no founder goes into a planning process with the intention of it being a disaster. They want it to be, they're investing time and money and energy with their advisors to get the best possible outcome. What do you think the greatest legacy a founder can leave for their family is?
Well, legacy is a wonderful concept and very complicated. In these families, these enterprise families, these families of wealth, legacy is this accumulated identity for a family of who we are, what we have, what we do with what we have, how we utilize what we have, the lives we live in the aggregate. There are a few things that each senior generation can do that add to the legacy. One of them is about the family process, and we've talked about that already a little bit. That idea of fulfilling the highest responsibility of parents as they try and launch a next generation into the world, which is to balance and simultaneously nurture the individual development, the individuation, the confidence of each of their offspring. And this is who I am. This is what I want to be. This is what I'm good at. This is what gives me pleasure. This is where I make my contribution. This is me. And as offspring throughout their lives, but through adolescence and into adulthood, begin to develop their sense of that. This is my authentic self, and it's okay. And my family is proud of that and helps me to nurture that. That is the one stream of the parental creation of an aggregate legacy of individuals who are like that. For these enterprise families, hard to do. These are
I'm a parent.
Parenting is tough.
We want them to be a certain way.
But you resist that, you can tell. Because what you want them to be is themselves, is the best self that they can be. But these enterprise families who also want to hold something together, they have a countervailing force, which is the we. This is the us, the common ground. This is what we do together. This is where all those individual dreams overlap. And that has to be substantial enough and explored enough and understood enough to sustain the work of board meetings and family councils and family offices. And so there needs to be enough of a sense of a common dream to sustain that work. So for these enterprise families, it's the balance between the two, the I and the we, that is the legacy, that creates the legacy for them. The other thing I would say, in general, for seniors, and I talk about this as sort of their last and greatest gift that they give to the next generation, to the generations that follow, is that no matter how successful they have been, no matter how wise, no matter how lucky, no matter what they have built as an enterprise or as a family, the final gift is to create a system that is viable, a continuity that is viable without them. And to do
doesn't rely on them.
To do the work that will continue in their absence. If you create a system that functions beautifully, but when you pull yourself out of it, the house of cards collapses, what legacy is that? That's a legacy of sort of reputation, but it's not a legacy of continuity. So what I say to these leaders is, on the business side, a really well-planned, outstanding business succession, business continuity, is at least a decade in preparation.
Right.
It is the development of skills and experiences of a whole cohort, a generation of leaders, not just a single replacement, but a generation of contributors from the future. And that takes time. To build that, and then to plan with them, how is this transition going to happen?
Right.
What is the balance of letting go from the seniors and taking charge from the juniors, and how will that happen under what timetable, and how is the whole system going to be prepared to allow that transition? That is the greatest gift, as I say, the final gift of a senior generation, to in fact exit the stage, not just gracefully, but to leave a viable, vibrant system that does not require their presence. And then they can go off and enjoy the last
Right.
part of their lives, transition to that themselves.
Well, thank you. This has been immensely helpful. I think the couple of things I've heard that are the most important is talk. So go and have conversations
Talk.
with your family, and that it actually takes a bit of intentional effort and time, and you should put that time and effort in. It's worth it if your
It
goal
pays
is to
enormous
have
dividends.
a successful continuity of what you've created.
Well, good.
Thank you so
did really
much.
well. My
That
pleasure.
was wonderful to speak to you, Colin.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.